Welcome everyone, we are live. This is week 2 of the Multiclass League. We're live at Apex 1 New Jersey, located in Westfield, New Jersey. We are at Watkins, Glen for this week. And for those of you that are new, this is the Multiclass League, the first ever Multiclass League that we're running here at Apex 1. We have 11 drivers on the grid in GT3 cars with 9 drivers on the grid in the GT4 class. So a full grid of 20 drivers. Many drivers are looking to make a strong comeback from last week. Some drivers may not have had the results that they have wanted. It's also a new experience for many of these drivers. This is 2 times tire wear and fuel wear. So definitely some new dynamics being introduced into this league for all drivers. But we are currently in the qualifying session. All drivers have 15 minutes to set their best lap time and determine their starting place on the grid. And at the end of the 15-minute session, we will begin a 45-minute race, plus a bit longer for the final lap that the leader has to complete at the end of the 45 minutes. But we will be doing a new start for this week. This will be our first ever rolling start, so should be interesting. I'm excited to see if what the drivers can make of the rolling start. Week 1 they did a standing start, and this is our first fully manual rolling start. No assist or game telling you where to go. So definitely should be an interesting one, but we'll see where it goes. So I'm currently taking a look at our live timings. Looks like we have David currently sitting in first place with a 47.8. Keith sits just right behind him, just about a 10th behind in the McLaren. This is actually his first week in the GT3 class. Last week he competed in the GT4 McLaren, had a very strong result. Beat out, I believe, like 3, maybe even 4 of the GT3 class drivers, earning him an instant promotion to the GT3 league. So Keith is looking for a strong first performance, but looking further down the list, looks like we have Hugo in the Lamborghini Huracan, currently sitting in third with a 48.4, about 8 tenths behind the leader. Looks like Shane might have just had a crash. See if we could go on board with Shane. Currently sitting in third. Sitting in third. And then moving further down, actually, excuse me for a second. So we're halfway through our qualifying session, and John actually just took pole position at the moment in the Ferrari with a 146.4. So setting a blazing fast lap, 1.2 seconds ahead of David, who was just sitting comfortably in first. But moving further down the list, currently have Jaime in 5th in the Aston, followed by Doug in 6th. We're going to take a look at our GT4 class. Looks like we have Sanjay, Sunny, currently in first in the Audi R8 with a 158.8. So it's looking like about a 11 to 12 second gap between the GT3 and GT4 class. should make for a very interesting race. Also do want to add that there is ballast introduced for all drivers. So all drivers are facing 2 different types of ballast for this week. All drivers have car track specific ballast, meaning that all cars have a specific ballast or kilogram amount added to their car, made to balance out all the performance of the cars specific to this track. But other than that, we also do have a competitive ballast for all drivers, meaning based on not only your current position in the league standings, but also based on the amount of points you earned, you may have more ballast than some of the other drivers on the grid. So I'm going to pull up our league dashboard right here. Although you guys can't see it, I'm going to read off some of the additional ballast. So at the moment, we have Hugo sitting in first in the GT3 class. Hugo would be looking at 25 kilograms added ballast. Chris is currently in second with 18 points. Chris will be having 18 kilograms of ballast. And then looks like we have David in third in the GT3 class after week 1, who will face 16 kilograms. In the GT4 class, due to Keith winning and getting automatic promotion, the win actually went to Brian, who now has 25 points and 25 kilograms of ballast. We also have Seamus with 20 kilograms of ballast in second place, followed by TJ, the new league competitor and new sim racer in general. TJ is currently sitting in third, although it is only 1 week down of the league. TJ had a very strong first week performance, sits in third, and will face 16 kilograms of ballast. I also do want to mention GT3 cars will all have track specific ballast, meaning all cars will have different values. All GT4 cars do have the same value, which is 80 kilograms of ballast, in addition to a 3% reduction to the power. So that'll just allow the GT3 cars to be a bit faster, catch them possibly a bit more, and ultimately make it easier for them to pass, especially on the straightaways. So again, we have 11 GT3 drivers and 9 GT4 drivers, so should make for a very interesting race. Taking a look back at our qualifying, looks like the GT4 class has moved around a little bit. We now have Brian sitting in first in the GT4 class with a 157.4. Seamus also moved up the list, sitting in second with a 158.1. So as of right now, it's looking like Brian is much faster than the rest of the pack. But other than that, we have Steven currently in third with a 58.2, sitting just 1/10 behind Seamus. Another close gap is between Paul and Phil. So Paul qualified, I believe that is 5th place. Paul is at a 201 flat with Phil closely behind at a 201.1. So we see Seamus spinning away in the bus stop, able to recover there as TJ blows past. But close gap between those drivers so far in qualifying. We still have 3 minutes remaining. Looks like Phil and Brian are the only drivers sitting in the pit lane as of right now. Both of them seems to be comfortable with their current lap times. There you see the blazing hot front brakes of Chris in the Aston Martin. Chris currently in 6th place, about a 2-second gap to the leader. We're now on board with Doug. Doug is rocking the beautiful 90s vintage Ferrari livery, driving the Ferrari, the new Ferrari, the 296. Doug is currently in 5th with a 148.3. As of right now, looks like John has that Ferrari figured out. I don't know if John made any adjustments to his setup. I don't believe he did, because I didn't see him practicing too much before the week, but John is looking very strong as of right now, with a 8/10 gap to David, who sits behind in the Porsche. You see Sonny entering the pits. Seamus is still out on track trying to paint that first, but unfortunately he's not going to do that in this lap. I believe that was the bus stop that got the best of him. Yup, same spot again for Seamus, so hopefully he's able to iron that down once the race session begins. But as of right now, Seamus is fast, but it looks like he's struggling a bit in the bus stop. But we're going to take a look back through the rest of the GT3 class. Many of our other drivers are now in the pit lane. We have 30 seconds left in the race. Keith is now in the pits in 4th. Hugo still is out on track, looking to make up that 3/10 gap to overtake David for 2nd. But not much time left in the session. I think the GT4 class is pretty much solidified. Steven is still out on track, just a 1/10 gap between him and Seamus for 2nd place. But that'll be the end of the session for all those drivers who have already made their pit stops and sat in the pit lane. But for those currently still out, those drivers will still have a bit more time to try and beat their best lap. And it looks like that's the end of qualifying for almost all our drivers. Still have Steven out there trying to see if he could make up his fastest lap. We're going to go on board with Steven for the remainder of this lap. See if he can make up that gap to Seamus. But looks like John will be starting in pole, followed by David in 2nd. Hugo sitting in 3rd. Keith in 4th, followed by Doug in 5th in the Ferrari. In the GT4 class, Ryan will be taking pole position in the Toyota Supra with a 157.4. Looks like we have Seamus. As of right now, Seamus will be in 2nd. On board, Williams Mello. Passing Steven. Oh, and unfortunately, that was John. So John is actually already qualified in pole, but looks looks like he impeded Steven a little bit on that corner entry. That may have cost Steven second place in the qualifying session. He's also still out on track trying to improve his time. But Steven is about to cross the line. Looks like his predicted is a 158.26, 158.26. So unfortunately, he's not able to beat out Seamus's time. I think that pass by John at the end impeded Steven and saved Seamus at second place in qualifying. All right, and that's the end of qualifying. So we have a minute left in the race. Again, we're going to be starting under the safety car. So should be an exciting race start. And hopefully all drivers can keep it clean. New concept for all these drivers. So hopefully we'll have a good start. But good luck to everyone. Little small congratulations to John for qualifying in pole in the GT3 class with a 146.4. Qualifies with a gap of 7.5 tenths. And then looks like we have Brian, who qualified in pole in the GT4 class with a 157.4. So a 7/10 gap between Brian and Seamus. So big gap between both pole sitters. Will be interesting to see if Brian decides to give a gap between him and the GT3 class for the start of the rolling start, because they do have the option of how far of a gap to give. All right, remember guys, do not start yet until I get to the front. guys are all just very excited for this walks at the same time. I'm very sorry about that. Sorry about that, everyone. So this is now the start of the race. I unfortunately wasn't able to show that on the broadcast, but he did a safety car, had a bit of an issue with one of the drivers, and then restarted the safety car. So this is now lap 1. We're at the race start. I'm actually going to go back a bit. I'll show you guys very quick. Start of the race. Anyway, we are back live with our drivers. This is the start of the race, 40 minutes left to go. Looks like we have John currently sitting in first in the Ferrari, followed by Hugo, who is now in second, with David in third. So it looks like a clean start from all drivers. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to show it on the broadcast, but I will be showing it at the end of the race. All drivers start on the rolling start, and GT4 class started a little bit behind GT3, and as of right now, Watkins remains in first in the GT4 class. Now with Chris. Chris is currently in 7th in the Aston Martin, sitting behind Jaime, who is also rocking the Aston Martin this week. Alright, and we're now on board with Vic. Vic is in the Ford Mustang, currently in 10th, but just closely behind Keith in the McLaren. This is Keith's first week in the GT3 class. Keith had a strong qualifying, but I don't know what's happened to him so far in the race, but still has a ton of time to bounce back. But Vic will be looking to get an overtake soon. Again, closely behind Keith. I think Keith may have taken some damage, or maybe even some excessive tire overheating or wear, but Keith is currently struggling. Keith is about a second behind Peter, who's in 9th, and Vic is still looking to make that move, but as of right now, still sitting behind. And then 15 seconds back, we have the leader of the GT4 class. So that's Seamus in the beautiful Pizza Hut Camaro. Seamus has a 2-second gap to Brian. So Brian had a strong qualifying, qualified in first with about an 8/10 gap, but it looks like Seamus has had a strong start to the race so far. But we're gonna move up the grid a bit. This is now back into our GT3 class. This is Chris sitting in 7th with Jaime closely in front in 6th, sitting just 4/10 in front. And then Peter about almost a second behind in the beautiful PFAF Motorsport Plaid Lamborghini. John is still sitting comfortable in front, but there you see Chris getting a little bit of a slingshot entering the bus stop. Definitely catching more speed over Jaime into the entrance of the bus stop. Although he's still sitting behind. He's gonna hold his position as of now. But we're gonna go on board with Sonny. Sonny is currently in 4th in the GT4 class in the Burger King Audi. Sonny has a 2/10 gap to Steven, who sits closely in front in 3rd place. But Sonny's going to be looking to make a move soon. Still 34 minutes left in the race, so plenty of time for all drivers. Pit stops are also most likely not required, but all drivers most likely will need to make a pit stop for fuel and possibly tires as well. So should be an interesting unfold of events here. But as of right now, looks like John is sitting comfortably ahead in the Ferrari 296 of Franz Hermann. So I think John may have actually been recruited by Franz, or I don't know if he has connections with people in Franz's group, but John having the pleasure to drive that car and clearly seeing it has the right setup from Verstappen and his crew, as he has an 8-second gap to David just 12 minutes into the race. So a dominant performance from John so far. Again, I don't know if he made some adjustments to his setup. Week 2 for the Classic GT League, we saw some big setup changes for some of the drivers, including myself. I spent some time adjusting the setup and found my ladder setup about 1.5 to about a second faster than my baseline setup. So I don't know if John has adjusted his setup, but it seems to be so, because I know we have Doug also driving the same Ferrari. And Doug has been practicing a lot and has put up some very fast laps in the past. But Doug is just way slower at the moment. Although he's still going very strong in the race, sitting in 4th. There you see Jaime going a little wide. Heard one of the other drivers voicing their displeasure, I believe, over their driving. We haven't seen any bad incidents or any questionable moves so far. So I think any small errors that have been made so far are just driver forced errors. But so far it looks like a clean race from all the drivers. But taking a look here at our race control, I don't believe we have any lap cuts as of right now. Yeah, so no cuts from any of the drivers. Looks like Paul and Philip have both had a collision so far. Don't know whether that's with the environment or with another driver. But we are at 50% damage for the drivers, so luckily they shouldn't be taking as much mechanical and suspension and bodywork damage as they normally would. But all drivers definitely do want to make sure they're careful. But we're going to go on board with David in second as he attempts to hold off Hugo. I believe the timing board is a bit delayed, Looks like Hugo has about like maybe a 2, maybe 3/10 gap to David. But Hugo's been sitting closely behind for a while now. And the battle between the two of them has only allowed John to get an even bigger gap from the rest of the group. But there you see Hugo going a little bit wide on T10. And the two of them making their way down the start-finish straight as David lunges a bit further ahead. So it looks like Vic actually had dropped down. Peter now sits at 6th. Sorry, so we're back with Hugo as he makes his overtake on Keith. So Hugo and David had a big collision, which actually caused David to lose motion in his sim. So David still has feedback, so he's still going strong, but David taking a bit of real life damage from that collision. But luckily still in the race. Hugo lost a ton of spots from that, and David actually lost 2 spots from that. So that now leaves Doug in 2nd place, with Shane actually in 3rd. Or no, sorry. So leaderboard's a bit backed up. We actually have Shane now in 2nd, with Doug in 3rd. David is closely behind in 4th. We're gonna go on board with David here as he looks to make the overtake on Doug. This is the battle for P3 between the Porsche 911 and the Ferrari 296 in the beautiful vintage 90s livery. But there you see David going for a move on the inside. Doug is able to hold his spot on the outside and will now be lined up to keep his spot on the inside. But David is making a little bit of a bold overtake attempt. But Doug's gonna hold it as of now and hold on to that 3rd place position. There you see Hugo getting a little bit antsy, trying to make an overtake on Keith. I believe that was on Chris. There you see Jaime and Peter closely battling. Doug is still holding off Shane. Pull up this leaderboard right here. This seems to be a bit more up to date, but there you see John with a 20-second gap to Shane. for the lead. So for those of you that are watching Monday and thought there was a big gap in the Classic GT Monday League, John is putting that gap to shame as we are just about approaching the halfway mark of the race, and John is at a 21-second gap. But we're on board with David, who spins going down the toe of the boot. Big mistake from David. That's going to take him from 4th all the way down to 9th place. Chris is going to be soon approaching. Huge mistake there from David. Puts him down into 4th position. So we actually see John making his pit stop early, as well as Peter, who made his pit stop early, already exiting the pits. Taking a look. I'll be right back. We're actually going to take a look at John. He seems to be adjusting things at the moment. We're going to make sure he's okay. So John had a bit of an issue with his pit stop, and unfortunately his pit stop strategy did not save, costing him at least 20 additional seconds in the pit lane. So a huge mistake from John. That's going to open the doors up for all the other drivers and put all that great driving he did, unfortunately, out the window. But as of right now, looks like Doug has claimed first place at the moment. So we're going to go on board with Doug, as he is, I believe, the current leader of the race. Or apologies, Hugo is actually the leader. Okay, so here we have Hugo ahead of Doug. currently have Sonny sitting in the pits with 20 seconds left to go. I think I also just saw Philip enter the pit lane. But we're going to take a look back on board with John. John just made the overtake over Peter. So John currently sitting in 14th, although he has made his pit stop. So John is looking ahead of the other drivers in terms of strategy, but as of right now, he still is a bit behind, hoping for some other mistakes from some of the other drivers in their pit stops. But as of right now, we have Brian in front in the GT4 class with Seamus about a half second behind. But there you see Brian entering the pit lane, keeping a very clean and very, very professional pit lane entrance from Brian as he makes his pit stop, which will give Seamus the lead for the moment. There you see Seamus missing his apex, but will now be in first place in the GT4 class. There we see Hugo making the overtake on David. Beautiful clean move there from Hugo. We're now on board with Jaime. This is the current battle for the lead. Doug is in first in that Ferrari 296, but it looks like Jaime has a beautiful run up the straight and is going to be looking to make a move down on the inside going into the bus stop, and that'll be P1 as of right now for Jaime, making the beautiful overtake over Doug with 16 minutes left in the race. But Jaime now commanding the lead, still has to make his pit stop. So I will point out, previously we saw John sitting comfortably in first. John made an early pit stop, but John had a huge mistake in the pit lane, lost about at least 20 to 30 seconds with his pit stop. Unfortunately, his strategy didn't save. So I don't know where John's gonna stand when these other drivers get back out on the grid. But looks like Shane is in pit lane. Gonna take a look at Shane, see what's up with him. There you see David getting a little loose again, heading out of the toe. David looks to be struggling in that part of the track. Definitely giving Hugo an advantage. It's still 13 minutes left in this race. Plenty of time for all drivers to make up the gaps that they currently have. Also, many drivers still need to make their pit stops. I know some of them have been having issues with their preset, unfortunately not saving, costing them tons of time into the pit lane. I believe that was due to the session restart that unfortunately unsaved all their presets. I was just taking a look on board with Hugo. Hugo just tapped the wall a little bit on that entrance to the start-finish straight. But again, 50% damage, so Hugo unfortunately not facing the consequences of that. But David has a big spin going down turn 1. David's going to lose his spot to Peter as Peter makes his way much faster going up the long straightaway. Big mistake there from David. I believe David hasn't made his pit stop, so I'm sure David must be facing some tire wear right now. But that cost David second place, and now Keith will be looking to capitalize in that McLaren 720S, currently sitting in fourth with about a 1 second gap to David ahead in the Porsche 911. Alright, so we unfortunately just had 2 dropouts. Looks like Paul had an issue in the pit lane, pressed the wrong button, and just decided to hang up the boots, being that he was at the back of the pack. We also had Phil make his pit stop, and just on his end, also decided to hang up the boots due to a lack of pace and just being in last. So, an unfortunate week for both drivers, but all drivers do have a drop week during the season, so they are allowed to drop their worst result, meaning both Phil and Paul, despite the not finish, will still have the chance to make it up in the remainder of their season, as long as they remain consistent. But as of right now, we currently have Seamus sitting in first in the GT4 class. Uh-oh, there you see Chris. Chris was in 6th, having a big spin there. Luckily, doesn't cost him any positions, but that's definitely going to destroy any hopes he may have had at passing David for 5th place. There you see his car all scratched and bruised. Don't know if he has any suspension damage, but that's going to be costly for Chris. Luckily, didn't lose any positions on that, but again, that's going to destroy all chances he had at gaining any positions. Uh-oh, there you see a spin from Vic. That's going to be a tough part of the track to turn it around. Have a good one, Paul. The toe looks to have gotten the best of many drivers today, including Vic, who had a big spin. We saw Vic David with the spin. Spins. So we have 5 minutes left in the race, but all of you, the guy that finished dead last. All of you that are watching the stream will have a great treat for these last 5 minutes. We have the legendary, the iconic, the world-renowned broadcaster and part-time race car driver. This is Philip Matthew making a surprise appearance in the booth. Welcome, Phil.
Thank you, Michael. GSP 1428 reporting after taking a P43 in a race that has 17 people. So it tells you how bad I am. You're doing this for the brand. There's Peter in second, 2.8 seconds behind Hugo, who I think has hit everything but the lottery. Keith, who was a GT4 driver 2 weeks ago, is only 5.3 seconds back, supporting his boy, Smada. Buffalo Trace getting the marketing right here. Doug, who is Fish Lips' #1 fan. Jaime, who I think I moved out of his way about 3 times. Bill Burr slash what do you call Dwight Schrute, Chris in 6th. David, I don't know what happened to David. Yeah. So sorry for the extra. I had the mic on top of me there. We have 3 minutes and change to go. Myself and Paul are in the pits. Paul very tired after a long day at work. And in terms of points for our class, it's okay. So right now, Seamus in the lead for the GP4. Sonny. Oh no. Scordo in 2nd. Movie in 3rd. Sonny in 4th. So I'll still score points even though I rage quit. But 2 minutes 20 seconds left here in tonight's race at Watkins Glen. Full. But Hugo 3.5 seconds ahead overall of the plaid Lambo. Peter, who did not have a setup. He'll tell you that he didn't have a setup. There's Sonny in his Audi. He made the right decision. He bailed out of his car. That's what I should have done. I could have probably drove an Alpine and I would have done better than what I did today. Sonny in the Burger King Audi. It's a good looking car, to be fair. And he had pace. Sonny is sneaky fast, so he had pace in that car. So I don't know what he ran 2 weeks ago, but this car definitely suits him. It might be the second time where I should have taken the Audi. Since I finished dead last in this race, I could pick whatever the heck I want to pick. Scordo right now is on the podium, taking the teachings of what the hell am I forgetting? His buddy's son. That's so bad. My phone's over there at the bar. Oh, damn it. But credit to Scordo. He has become he has improved in so many levels. And in this race, with 2 laps to go, he is in position to go and get a podium this second race. So getting out of the way of a GT3, and that's, oh no, wow, that almost was a wreck between the leader and Scordo. So I was giving props, but then it is Hugo, so he definitely has Carson Hocevar vibes. Well, to be fair about our boy Hugo, employee here at Apex One in Westfield, New Jersey, he has a habit of hitting things and hitting people. So, oh wow, so there you go. P2 for a podium spot between Scordo and Hoovy. retire. This might be the announcement of retirement from racing. If somebody pays me in drinks, but drinks or food and both. John had to pit. It looks like he has run out of fuel. And Hoovie's getting a second place. So the oh no! Oh, huge wreck! Huge wreck that took out Scordo. Went and took out Keith. Took out Keith and Hoovie. Oh my God, that is huge. There will be a post-race review, but huge incident there. Keith still maintains his third place overall after winning GT4 2 weeks ago. But Doug in GT2 Sim is right there with about a half lap to go in the Ferrari. The Risi Competizione Ferrari looking car. Hugo, I think. Has Hugo already passed the line? Scordo went and cleared himself across the nose of Doug. And we have a battle for third overall. Hugo. There's Hugo. Getting out of next to last corner. He's coming around the final corner to get the checkered flag to go 2 for 2 in this league. Credit. Oh no. No, it is. He won. Yeah. He just died. So yeah. So Peter in second. Keith. And that's Hoovie. I guess Seamus is getting out of the inner loop. So Hoovie has to run another lap. We have Seamus on the screen with the Macaulay Jones scheme, showing that somebody can run the Pizza Hut Camaro fast. It also helps that he is the owner of this place, so he better. Victor getting out of the way. I think. Yeah. So Michael is. Michael is trying to clear out the track. Our podium overall, Hugo, along with Peter. So Beefy Wisdom, Tuna No Crust, and then Keith in third. Doug in fourth, Jaime in fifth overall. Chris in sixth, David in seventh, Shane in eighth, John in ninth, struggled, and there's Seamus crossing the line for the official checkered flag there. Right now it says Seamus as the winner, which I think we already knew. But Scordo in second at the moment, but I don't think that'll stick. Hoovie in third. Sonny in fourth. TJ in fifth. And then the DNFs, which are Doc Paul and myself.